when Biggie Smalls died and Tupac died, you saw that crossover and MTV realizing that this is a big moment, not only in music, but in history as well, because you saw rock personalities, you saw pop personalities or real journalists actually tributing or giving respect to who Tupac and Biggie were, leading to, I think, in a weird way, their death, catapulting hip hop more into the mainstream.
I'm gonna show you how great We're not worthy.
I said, empty your mind.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that
woman. Again, for our Rushmore episode, the best time of the week when we could show you how we really feel and how we really think about specific topics. This week, we're going to spin off of our last episode, which was the 1990s, and we're going to do the most memorable events of the 1990s. The most memorable. It's really hard to break down the 90s in 4 events, but we're going to try. The way we do our Rushmore is we take our top 4, our best 4, like the presidents on Mount Rushmore, and we rank them from 4 down to 1. I always like to put a little personal spin on my Rushmores. Like last week, I did something stupid. I don't remember it. Last week, I tried to sneak in Guardians of the Galaxy as one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. Now, obviously, we're not always right. So if we're not right, then let us know. Let us know how you really feel. But this week we're doing most memorable events of the 1990s. Now I'm gonna pull up my little wheel. My wheel of names is already always preset. And I won last week. We have not had a repeat in the last month or so. You won like 3 in a row at one point. But let's keep going. Nope. It's going to be you. Once again, no repeat. You get to go first. All right. So, most memorable events of the 1990s.
Okay. I'm going to go with probably one of the moments that changed everything for me. And those that know me know my musical taste. They know what I was raised with. They know, even to this day, in 2025, I play this music to blasting in my car. It's one of the perks of being single. And that is when Biggie Smalls died.
Hypnotize. Biggie Smalls, the hit that was released on March 1st, 1997. 8 days after the single hit the stores, though, Biggie was gunned down in Los Angeles. Day was March 9th, 1997, 19 years ago today.
It was the kind of violence that was a recurring theme in his music. 24-year-old Notorious B.I.G., also known as Biggie Smalls, gunned down in a drive-by shooting outside a music industry party in L.A. early Sunday. In this interview last week at a San Francisco radio station, he seemed to see it coming.
They're going to attack you if you're on top, you know what I'm saying? That's your job to bob and weave, you know what I'm saying? I need the security.
Born Christopher Wallace, he was big in the world of rap, an admitted former Brooklyn, New York crack dealer who parlayed his criminal rap sheet into a popular gangsta persona, rapping with brutal language about the violence, drugs, pain, and desperation of inner city life.
He was articulate, his raps were very descriptive, and he proved to be a very philosophical presence.
Biggie's death comes almost exactly 6 months after the drive-by slaying of his arch-rival, California rapper Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas. They squabbled publicly over who had the most authentic street credentials. It was the most visible sign of a violent struggle between East Coast rap moguls and their West Coast competitors.
That specifically. I know you're going to say, what about Tupac, right? Well, I was never a Tupac kind of
Never
guy.
was. He's
I kind of actually hated Tupac, not gonna lie. I was more rooting for the East Coast versus the West Coast back in the days. I remember having that conversation with my friends. Yes, even here in South Texas, right on the border. You know, we were part of, I mean, we would discuss that all the time. We would buy the Source magazine and we would have discussions, East Coast versus West Coast, hip hop. You know, Snoop Dogg had the West and Eazy-E and NWA and Ice Cube. And in the East Coast, it was Biggie Smalls, it was Busta Rhymes, a Tribe Called Quest. You know, it was just a rivalry. And what I think ended up happening was, yes, Tupac, he died before Biggie Smalls. But I think when Biggie Smalls died, it made us understand that, oh, okay, musicians are being taken out or getting murdered based on a rivalry in music. Is music supposed to go this far? Like, no music should have to deal with losing two iconic, even then they were both 24, 25 years old, Tupac and Biggie Smalls, just in the start of their careers. And here they are losing their lives on a beef where, unfortunately, that hip hop culture back then was filtering into or bleeding into the streets, and unfortunately costing the lives of legends like both of them, Tupac and Biggie. But for me, Biggie was always my guy, and I'll never forget. I was on the basketball team, and we had to be at school at 7 a.m. Usually I was always the first one in the locker room. I show up and I have my friend who we used to call Frog Boy because he looked like a frog and he could jump
Frog
really
Boy.
high. We had another guy named Rat Boy too. He looked like a rat, but that's a conversation for another day. He could not jump, but he was annoying like a rat. Sorry. And I remember he was just in the locker room with just his gym shorts on, crying. I'm like, what's up? What happened? He's like, dude, they killed Biggie Smalls. I'm like, what? No way. Sure enough, but this is like, I had to find out through people. It's not like I get an alert on my phone today where it's alerting me where by the time I message you, hey man, this person died or had a historical moment, you're like, oh, I already know about that. Or you already have an opinion formed. Like, it was an organic reaction. And I remember sitting on the bench and the whole team came in, and it was funny because, yeah, we were sad about Biggie Small, but there are also other guys that are like, well, that's what he gets for being East Coast. And we're like, well, this is why it happened. You know, so for me, when Biggie Smalls got assassinated, that was my big moment, my number 4. Yeah, I have any thoughts? Go ahead.
I think the death of Biggie and Tupac kind of sensationalized that rap violence that we kind of still see today. So
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing, that whole rivalry is something that I think rappers still try to mimic. You have that whole Kendrick Lamar and Drake thing that happened last year. I feel like you can't look at music from the 90s without looking at Biggie and Tupac. Even I grew up in a house where rap and hip hop wasn't a thing, and I even knew who Biggie and Tupac were. So I do like your pick. I feel like those definitely are big cultural shifts in the landscape of not just music, but just culture itself. When you can, because I do think music is the heartbeat of the United States, and for somebody like Biggie to be killed definitely is a game-changing moment. So I agree. I like that. I would like to say that I knew that was coming because I know how much you like Biggie. So not surprised, but I do agree.
This is one thing, and then I'll let you do your number 4. I remember MTV being it felt like, in my opinion at least, that they were forced to bring in hip hop to the mainstream of MTV television. I mean, hip hop really only had one show, and it came out pretty much after the news. So you had to like stay up to watch the news or the newest music about hip hop. And by the way, going back to our last episode about the 90s, even music videos were competitive with each other in the 90s. Great music videos at the time for the technology. But when Biggie Smalls died and Tupac died, you saw that crossover and MTV realizing that this is a big moment, not only in music, but in history as well, because you saw rock personalities, you saw pop personalities or real journalists actually tributing or giving respect to who Tupac and Biggie were, leading to, I think, in a weird way, their death, catapulting hip hop more into the mainstream. And I think that's kind of what it eventually came from. So that's my last thought. All right.
All right.
What
My
is your
number
number four?
is a little bit bigger. It's the rise of the internet and that AOL culture. We're talking the dial-up tones. You're talking instant messaging, chat rooms. It's the beginning of like an online identity. And I don't think that my life would exist in the ways that it did if it wasn't for those things. You can't have modern gaming. You can't have modern social media. You can't have any of the stuff that we know and love today without this creation. When I did my master's, this is what I wrote about, was how did the internet affect the world, not just in the United States, but on a global scale. And I wrote about political protest and how when you're online, you're as close to as anonymous as you could be. You're basically untouchable. We talk about keyboard warriors all the time and how people are a lot more brave and brazen when they're online because they think they're untouchable. We've kind of taken a step back from that because in 2025 in the United States, we do realize that our actions online can have consequences, but the ability to communicate with each other like we are right now. We're doing a podcast using our computers. We're in separate houses, thousands of miles away, and we're instantaneously creating media, which we're going to put online for anybody to watch whenever they want to watch. I mean, it's just too big and too great to ignore. So I'm going to say the creation of the internet or the rise of the internet and the things that it brought us.
Millions of Americans own a personal computer. If you're one of them, you can now glimpse the future with nothing more than a modem, a phone line, and a few dollars a month.
I agree with you. I think that could be high. That could probably be number one because what it's resulted to today. I mean, it was it changed the world.
The reason why I didn't put it number one is because I do feel like the creation of the internet has been an ever evolving thing. Like all the things that I brought up have slowly grown. So way beyond the 90s. Like we didn't have this kind of stuff in the 90s that was as easily as accessible. So I can't say that if we're talking about the greatest moments in the 90s. Yes, the creation of this technology is great, but all the great things that came with it came far later. So that's why I didn't put it number one. Yes, the internet is probably one of the greatest creations mankind has ever made.
So all I got to say to that is thank you, Al Gore.
Man bear
That's
cake.
all I'll say to that. You know what's crazy? Like, we didn't really talk about this on the last episode, but the evolution of gaming, right? In the 80s, it was very blocky, it was very glitchy, that kind of thing. And then it changed in the 90s to Super Nintendo, is eventually PlayStation. And then you saw that connection because of the internet later on becoming online, which is everything now when it comes to gaming. I think that influence that the internet has had.
I was going to bring
tremendous.
It up, and I stepped back because I think that that's a really big negative in terms of technology. A lot of the big issues that I think we have in society today is the fact that we don't do things in person. When I was a kid, I used to go to a friend's
Okay.
house and sit in his
Okay.
living room, and we would play Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, and we'd be in the same room together. And there was something nice about that whole experience. This is an experience you don't get anymore. You do play with your friends still. Like, I could play with anybody I want right now. I can call one of the guys up at work and he'll play Madden with me right now. But is it still the same?
Mm-hmm. Right. I that's a great point. That's a great point. I mean, wow, it did create I think it was kind of it has a major hand in isolationism that we're enduring today. And it's taking away a lot of great characteristics to have before online gaming and gaming became a real thing where you could isolate yourself in a room and, if you're lucky enough, make a good living on it, and you're missing all these verbal skills or human skills that you can do to just talk to people that people don't really have anymore. So I like your number 4.
Okay, let's go home.
All right, you win. All right, my number, we talked about this earlier. Is going to April 20th, 1999. Now let me set the atmosphere. Okay. I was in a class. Did you remember that? We called it prep class. Did you ever have that class in high school where they taught you how to do resumes and turn on a computer?
It was an advisory class, and we had it was like 20, 25 minutes where it was just like a whatever. It was, like you said, just to get your brain right or whatever.
So I remember the day before I got a new girlfriend, and we had that class together. And we were sitting in the far corner, and it was a big room. Back then they had 40 people in a room, so it was easy to get lost. But we're in the back corner. I know my girlfriend won't like this now, but we're like doing stuff to each other. And then all of a sudden I jolt up from my chair because a teacher barges into the room. And because it was that prep technology class, we were the ones with the TVs already installed on the walls, the big old block TVs. And she's like, "Oh my God, they're killing the children." We're like, "What?" And she turns on the TV, and sure enough, every news channel is talking about Columbine.
The investigation into the high school massacre is slow-moving and dangerous. The 2 gunmen who went on the rampage booby-trapped the building and even themselves. All day long, investigators have searched the homes of both teenage killers. In one of them, police say they found bomb-making materials. Specially trained officers searching the school today found close to 30 explosive devices all around the building. Authorities have also revised the death toll, now saying 15 people were killed, including the 2 gunmen. Most of the bodies are still inside the school, but families of the murder victims have been notified. NJ Burkett begins our coverage. He is live in Littleton, Colorado. NJ.
And Roz, we're being kept far away. The building off in the distance is still sealed off. As you said, the bodies have not yet been removed. A total of 15 people are believed to have died here, 12 students, 1 faculty member, and the 2 young killers. Investigators say this attack appears to have been carefully planned for a long time.
One by one, students returned to Columbine High and left bouquets of flowers in a park half a mile away.
A little bit of pain, a little bit of everything at once. It's deep, you know, but just got to be strong.
Parents, hug your kids. Pray that, be happy that you're with them. Kids, grab your friends, hold them tight, and never be mad at people, because it could happen in a second that they'll be gone.
Yes.
Right? And I remember we were watching it, and we were just seeing like a helicopter's view of kids jumping out of windows on the 2nd floor. And it was just all this craziness and chaos. Bro, you brought this up the last episode. We talked about Columbine a little bit. When I was in high school, we could leave. We had open campus. I mean, the open campus was not even a thing. Like, there was no such thing as closed campus, well, at least that I know of. I remember I was a slacker in high school. I remember going to school with my friends at 7 in the morning. We would go pick up all our friends, And then we would go to the school to pick up more friends. And because there was a McDonald's down the street, we would go chill there till lunchtime, go have breakfast or whatever, just hang out. We couldn't really afford breakfast, but there was always that one guy that had money. And then we would go to a house and we would just chill out all day. We had open campus. The moment that Columbine happened, that ended the day after. Nobody was allowed to leave anymore. I mean, at my school right now, we do drills literally every week or every other week tops. And it's taken seriously. Like there's huge protocols involved. What happened with Columbine was a game changer. I mean, there's statistics out there that I think since Columbine that there's been over 2,000 school shootings, right? I mean, it started an epidemic that, I was gonna say pandemic. Well, maybe, who knows? It could be global. I doubt it. And it's not. It's not because no other country is shooting themselves like we are. But it's an epidemic now, and it's becoming more like, well, who cares? Like, we kind of need it. Like, not to quote somebody that got assassinated a few months ago, but his most famous saying is that, school shootings and people getting killed, I'm paraphrasing, by the way, it's needed to conserve the Second Amendment. And we're kind of getting desensitized to stuff like school shootings. I mean, wasn't there a school shooting when he got assassinated that day? What took the number one news? So unfortunately, that is my number 3, Columbine. Go ahead.
Columbine, we did an episode in our previous series on Spotify about Columbine.
Right.
It did forever change the landscape of the United States, and it's always something that we point back to. There are school shootings, it seems like every week nowadays. As teachers, it's just one of those things that in the back of our mind we are aware that happens. Why did our culture shift with Columbine? Like, why don't we hear of things like that happening before Columbine? Guns obviously have been around longer than American schooling. Why is it in 1999 the shift? Why was that the shift? I don't know. It's a question that's above my pay grade, but you're right. Columbine changed the landscape of America. It changed the landscape of American education. It changed what American childhood is going to be. Like I said, I don't remember what schools were like before Columbine. All I remember is what they were like after.
I actually think it changed politics as well. As the years have gone on, the decades have gone on, from Sandy Hook to, I forgot the one in Florida, the major one. Well, they're all major, of course. And then the one right here across the street, Uvalde, with the little kindergarten kids. I mean, it's becoming political now to where politicians are, just saying thoughts and prayers, let's move on. And it's like,
there's more.
Go ahead.
I think there's a lot more than that. You can look at it, what politicians did during Columbine, how they targeted media, how they targeted music and video games. We
Marilyn
still
Manson,
see that happening today. Except I read today, it's social media. Like politicians are suing Meta and Facebook because of its effect on kids. This is a conversation we've been having since Columbine. How much does media and we still can't figure it out. What they're attacking, what politicians are attacking, change.
Governor Rick Scott attended a church service dedicated to the victims of the Wednesday mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. While funerals of the victims were taking place this weekend, a major gun show opened in Florida's Miami area. 5,000 people were expected to attend the annual event, where visitors will be able to buy various arms, including the AR-15 rifle used in the school shooting in Parkland. Private sellers at such shows are not required to perform a background check on gun buyers. Meanwhile, in Washington, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat from New York, said the White House budget proposal for 2019 would make it easier to buy a gun.
President Trump in his budget has actually cut the background check system, both for felons who shouldn't be getting a gun and for those who have mental illnesses who also shouldn't be getting a gun.
Trump has blamed the FBI for failing to follow up on the gunman's clues to prevent the Florida school shooting. Vice President Mike Pence said the administration will make school safety its top priority. But Florida school shooting survivors and other students across the country are frustrated with the lack of action from political leaders. Emma Gonzalez, one of the most outspoken, singled out those who collect donations from the National Rifle Association.
To every politician who is taking donations from the NRA, shame on you.
Gonzalez said Trump received $30 million from the powerful gun lobby and revoked his predecessor's rule that could have prevented thousands of people with mental disorders from being able to purchase a firearm.
Divided by the number of gunshot victims in the United States in the 1.5 months in 2018 alone, that comes out to being $5,800. Is that how much these people are worth to you, Trump?
The conversation doesn't.
When the school shooting happened in Florida, and I remember here in Texas, hold on. I remember Dan Patrick, one of our people in Congress here in Texas, was blaming the doors.
We may have to look at the design of our schools moving forward and retrofitting schools that are already built. And what I mean by that is there are too many entrances and too many exits to our over 8,000 campuses in Texas. Over 8,000 campuses. There aren't enough people to put a guard at every entrance and exit. You would be talking 25, 30, 40,000 people. But if we can protect a large office building or a courthouse or any major facility, maybe we need to look at limiting the entrance and the exits into our schools so that we can have law enforcement looking at the people who come in one or two entrances.
Maybe they should be locked on the inside or outside, and it's just like they're making a mockery. Politicians are of the significance of every single school shooting. I don't care if it's somebody got injured or one person got killed, or I think it was 42 or 48 that got killed in Columbine. I could be misquoting that. But to me, it's a mockery. You have a funny, when you and I used to work in Dallas, when we had to do that drill, you want to give the people a quick...
I still tell this story to this day. It wasn't a drill. One of our kids left his backpack in his car, and he had drugs and a gun in his car. And they brought the...
Which was common in our school, by the way.
The drug dogs, and the drug dogs sniffed it out. But because there was a gun in the parking lot, technically that's campus, they locked down the school.
Right.
And I go to my door, and there's no lock. There's no lock.
We had no locks,
So I'm like...
And we had those paper doors. So those doors were like 8 ounces. Anybody could have gone through them.
So I call the office. I'm like, I can't lock my door. What do I do? What am I supposed to do? And they straight up told me, you are the lock. So I leaned my ass against the door for like however long, an hour, 2 hours, however long it took them to get.
Yeah, it was a while.
And I kept telling the kids, they're like, is this real? I said, I wouldn't be standing against this goddamn door if it wasn't real. I said, and you're right, paper doors. So if somebody came up to this door, like if I'm leaning against it, and he decides or she decides to shoot through this door, I'm done. I'm like, it's over. I tell my kids, there was a back door that led from my class to your class. And then from that was when I was in the corner. I was like, if I'm going to sacrifice myself leaning against this damn door, you guys better go out that back door. If a bullet comes through this door, you're going out that door. Yeah, I still tell that story to this day. And nobody ever believes me that we taught at a
Yeah.
school with no locks.
You know, unfortunately, yes. Guns on our campus was pretty common. Drugs was pretty common. Even our very last day of school that we taught at that school, you and I, before I would take off to another country, there was a threat of a kid coming in to shoot up a couple of teachers, supposedly. So I don't know if you remember that too. We went to that taco restaurant. We were talking about it. Should we even go back to the campus?
I do remember that vaguely.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's
all right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go a different direction with my number 3 because we're gonna go a little bit lighter. This is where I start putting my little personal spin on it because we're talking about what I think are the greatest moments of the 1990s, and I'm gonna go the Disney Renaissance. We touched on it in the last episode, and I'm just gonna kind of
hold on. Can I say one thing real quick? Not to cut you off. It was 13 killed, but it was 49 minutes. That's the confusion that I had. So I apologize about that.
All right.
Go ahead.
So
49 minutes for Columbine. It was 49 and 13 people. All right, go ahead.
The Disney Renaissance. So, and we did touch on it last episode, so I don't have to go into too much backstory, but Disney was garbage in the 80s. There was a big split, and a bunch of their animators...
Aristocrats.
A bunch of their animators left and started they're doing their own thing. You get stuff like All Dogs Go to Heaven, and I can't remember the name of that guy. I don't remember the name of that guy. It'll come to me in the middle of this conversation. But
Aristocrats, all that crap.
Disney in the 80s was pretty bad, and they needed a big swing in the 90s, and they came out. They hit the ground hard. They came out with Beauty and the Beast. They came out with Little Mermaid, Lion King, Aladdin. It was a great time to be a kid. I would argue that the Disney movies in the 90s were the best Disney movies. I would put them up there against the Snow Whites and
100%.
the Cinderellas and the Sleeping Beauties of the old days, because they are just next level entertainment. And I don't think you could be a childhood in the 90s and not be affected by Disney. So that's why I included it, because it was such a big thing for myself as a kid. I think for kids in general. You were a little bit older. So you said you're probably in middle school. Well, you said you graduated in 99?
99.
So you were in late elementary, you're in middle school during the Disney Renaissance. Were you a Disney kid? Or did you already pass that up?
Dude, I hate musicals. But I love the Disney cartoon musicals. Like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King. Those were world class. But even if you don't want to go to the anime version, I mean, you're talking about movies like The Rocketeer. You're talking about the Mighty Ducks movies, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, the Muppet Christmas Carols, Hocus Pocus, Cool Runnings. I mean, even your favorite, Angels in the Outfield,
yes.
Disney movies.
So I am
Blank Check.
I am a
Go ahead.
Angel fan.
Santa Claus.
I'm an Angel fan because of Angels in the Outfield. I'm a Ducks fan because of Mighty Ducks. I'm a Dolphin fan.
Of course.
Because Ace Ventura. Different story. My movies always were my identity, even at a young age. So I could not make a list.
I agree.
I could not make a list of greatest moments of the 90s without including film. And I think that in the 90s, that was it. That was what I think defined my childhood was Disney.
Look, man, I'm looking at a list here. 91 had The Rocketeer. 92 had Newsies, Mighty Ducks, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. 93, Hocus Pocus, Cool Runnings, Three Musketeers, A Nightmare Before Christmas, even though that was more, I think it was Touchstone, if I'm not mistaken? But they were also Disney as well, weren't they? Right, Buena Vista, right? The Santa Claus movies, Mighty Ducks 2, one of my favorite, Blank Checks, which promoted pedophilia because the woman was like in her 30s and she was kissing a 10-year-old kid. Awkward moment. Remember the movie Heavyweights, Camp Nowhere, you know what? I want to give props to Nickelodeon too. I mean, you're talking about cartoons like Ren and Stimpy. You're talking about Rocco's Modern Life. You're talking about, you know, just Rugrats. You're talking of, a great era for youth, children, and kids to grow up in and see this great time in Disney and Nickelodeon and what was the other one with WB, Warner
Yes.
Brothers, really taking film and cartoons and animation to a next level. I appreciate that for your number 3.
You
Okay.
got 2.
So now my number 2, my George Washington. I'm going to go to November 7th, 1991. So I'm going November 7th, 1991, when your guy or your team, Magic Johnson, announces he has HIV.
First of all, let me say good late afternoon. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers today. I just want to make clear, first of all, that I do not have the AIDS disease, because I know a lot of you want to know that, but the HIV virus. My wife is fine. She's negative, so no problem with her. I plan on going on living for a long time.
I've heard.
Bro,
okay, if you're
let
going
me
to tell
tell you-
the conspiracy theory, then I appreciate
Well,
this. This is
look,
my favorite.
let me
part
tell
of the
you
story.
where I remember. I was 9, 10 years old. I think I just turned 10. And my dad used to teach at a high school. And I remember I had my cousin from Oak Cliff. He was living with us. And he was supposed to be this perennial football lineman and everything like that. But because he was like 19 years old, they wouldn't. It was a big old deal, right? But he would practice with the team anyways to make them better. And I remember one day we go pick up, my mom and I and my sister go pick up my dad and my cousin at where my dad worked at that high school. And all of a sudden, we're walking outside, and my cousin, coming from football practice from the opposite side of the school where the field is, he's telling us, "Hey, man, did you hear about Magic Johnson?" And I'm like, "What? What about Magic Johnson?" "He has AIDS, not HIV." He said he has AIDS. And I remember the first thing that came to my head was like, I knew what AIDS was because of Greg Louganis, the diver and everything like that. The actor from House on the Prairie. I'm trying to remember Little House on the Prairie. And so I knew what AIDS was. Even Brady, John Brady, or the main guy from the Brady Bunch, he died of HIV/AIDS. So I knew what it was even at 10 years old. I mean, we're talking about, and I just remember thinking, Magic Johnson's going to die? Like, he's a superstar athlete. He's the face of the league, him and Michael Jordan.
This man has a smile that lights up a television screen from here to Bangor, Maine. One of the greatest players of all time, Magic Johnson. It's showtime.
He had a passion, an incredible passion to play basketball. He loved the game. He loved to entertain the crowd.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen.
He was my driving force. I just don't think there'll ever be another 6'9" point guard that smiles while he humiliates you.
Michael Jordan just beat him, if I'm not mistaken, ended that dynasty. And now here he was, a guy who I looked at as a superhero. I wasn't a Laker fan. In the 80s, I was more of a Detroit Pistons fan, and then later on with the Spurs because of my home side. But I loved Magic Johnson. Everybody loved Magic Johnson. He had that billion-watt smile. And here he was now. He's going to be dead. So to me, that was an earth-shattering moment where one of your superheroes that you thought was untouchable was now had a expiration date, and it was going to happen soon. So that is my number 2.
It was pre my time because I was too young to remember this. But I do remember the South Park skit where he literally takes his giant stacks of money and grinds it up and then injects it into his veins. But Magic Johnson's still kicking today. Probably the greatest sports figure. If you add what he's done with the Dodgers to his Laker time, like he's done pretty good for himself.
Phenomenal. I mean, I remember Karl Malone not wanting to play in an All-Star games with him because he thought if he touches him with sweat that he was going to get AIDS. I mean, this was a disease that we were learning about at the same time it was happening because of when HIV and AIDS was becoming a thing in the 80s. We thought it was more like an airborne type of disease, like when COVID happened, where we were like, dude, you have COVID, stay away. Remember that era with the very first part of COVID? And people were fearing that Magic Johnson, like, well, if I touch him, I have to defend him and I touch his sweat. Am I going to get AIDS? So he was literally, he was forced to retire in my opinion. The cool thing about it is, as we got more educated within that year or two, he makes a comeback and he coaches a team for a little bit, which was weird. And then he played in the All-Star game. I remember him making he was the MVP because, he is Magic. But that is my number 2, big moment in human history, at least for me.
I do know that was big, even if I don't remember it. So I do like your number 2. Like I said,
it'd be like Ohtani because Magic was there.
And I don't want to spin this episode into a huge thing. If you add the AIDS epidemic into that whole conversation, he was one of the biggest celebrities to ever get it, and on the stage that he was, I'd say yes, I 100% agree. It was an earth-shattering moment to see somebody so big with AIDS. So I like that. And I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to go a personal for me, and I think it warrants being up there, even if it's very childish. But I'm going to go Pokemon as my number 2.
Whoa! Wow! I like where you're going.
I
All
thought
right.
this one through because it was on my list and it wasn't that high. But the more I thought about it, there's a lot of things that it has going for it. It redefined what a video game could really be. It took simplistic coding and it made something that was extremely detailed. I remember playing it the first time. Came out in 96, so I was about 8 years old, and maybe 9 because I probably didn't buy it when it first came out. And I remember thinking how detailed the game was. But we're talking Game Boy. It was on a Game Boy, so we're talking the technology was
Game Boy Color?
regular Game Boy, black and white. It
I thought it was color.
The second wave came out on Game Boy Color.
All right, go ahead.
It was the first truly multimedia global franchise. We're talking video games, trading cards, anime, toys, clothing, movies. It was very much social gaming. Like, you used to be able to connect your Game Boy and trade with people through cords, and it was actually part of the game. You couldn't get certain Pokemon without actually trading with somebody physically. They also had, I remember Toys R Us used to have actual events where if you went and you can compete with people in Toys R Us and they'd give you free stuff. We still talk about Pokemon today. I mean, my stepson, when he was younger, he's 17 now, and he went through Pokemon, and then my 10-year-old went through Pokemon, and then my 2-year-old is now going through Pokemon. It's global. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Everybody knows what Pokemon is, to the point where today it is the number 1 highest grossing media franchise ever. It's past Star Wars. It passed Disney. It's past Marvel. It passed any individual. Obviously, Disney owns Star Wars and Marvel and all that stuff now, so Disney's still king. But in terms of just a lone standalone franchise, Pokemon is number one in terms of money. And obviously, you can't look at modern franchises, whether it's cartoons or physical games or card games, anything like that, without thinking that it's somehow related or influenced by Pokemon. I feel like the 90s, for me, shifted when Pokemon came out. It was the first real thing I ever wanted. I remember before that, I think Pogs was a big thing when I was in like kindergarten and first grade, but they were just little pieces of cardboard, or the really good ones. Then it was after Pogs. I remember I wanted a yo-yo really bad in like first or second grade. Transformers. I wanted a Transformer really bad when I was in like maybe third grade. And then Pokemon came out. It was like it dominated everything. Every kid.
I think the only animated series that I think could run with Pokemon was Ninja Turtles.
And I would say yes.
In my
Ninja
opinion.
Turtles games, cartoons, movies. It's pretty dang close.
Even diet, bro. I'll be honest with you. I don't remember pizza until Ninja Turtles came out. Like, I remember having my first pizza because of Michelangelo, even though I was more of a Raphael guy because I like the attitude.
I would say, Ninja Turtles is
I would say that's a cool pick.
Ninja Turtles is good. I would say my childhood also, Ninja Turtles holds a special place in my heart. But I never...
My brother, dude.
I never cried for Ninja Turtles. I never cried for Ninja Turtles. I remember when my dad wouldn't buy me my...
Really? Even when Casey Jones?
Hey, I love Casey Jones. You get Casey Jones's name at it. I loved it. I thought he was the coolest guy ever.
Of course. The hockey mask. Yeah. My brother was there when Pokemon boomed. I mean, he was at that perfect age. He was born in 91. So he was at that perfect age. He transitioned from Power Rangers to Pokemon. And he had, it was the easiest thing to get him for Christmas and his birthday because it was all about Pokemon. So that was cool. I remember he had one of the first gen card sets that he would have to sell later on as an adult, but I'll let him tell that story, why he had to sell it. Still relative, man. I remember it felt like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe the late 2000s to about 2000, mid 2010s, Pokemon was on a little bit of a lull. But then when Pokemon Go came out, it was like a resurrection, and it hasn't really stopped since then.
It's still big.
Am I right or wrong about that?
It's still going. Netflix still...
No, it's huge.
But you're right.
But I feel like there was like a little lull.
I think it's...
Until the Pokemon Go came out.
I'm going to say for me, it's because I got to that age. I was pre-children, but post-child. So I was an adult, but didn't have kids. So like Pokemon became something of my childhood, but not something that I did anymore. Then when I had kids, it came back. Maybe that generation that grew up with Pokemon brought a different generation in, and that might have been that next wave.
I agree.
Now, just to end my conversation, you brought it up, your brother and his cards. This is still there. It was on Pawn Stars. Some guy, you can barely see it, has...
I saw that.
It's called the Charizard King. He has a whole mountain of the original Charizard cards. It's like, 97 of them. 97 Charizard cards. And he's selling them for $29 million.
The main guy is Pikachu, right? How come he's not the most valuable card?
His original card was a common, so there's more print. There was more print, and you understand sports cards, supply and demand. This card was this card was the rarest card in the original set. Yeah,
Charizard.
So it's the rarest card in a kid's. It's a kid's trading card, and when you give anything to a kid, they're not going to take care of it. So not only was it the rarest card, but it was also something that wasn't taken care of. So these are rare.
So it's the 90s version of the Mickey Mantle card that every
Jake
boomer kid hat that threw it on a
Logan
bike.
Paul, he wears it around his neck when he wrestles for WWE now.
Yeah. All right, I love that pick. I like your last two picks. I'm more of a traditionalist guy. I stopped playing games like when I was 20 because of, I thought it was weird. But I stopped gaming 25 years ago. So, anyways, my number one is a cliche pick, but I only say cliche because Teddy Roosevelt is my new number one. But it's only a cliche because this event ruined my potential career. Let me explain. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a BMXer.
Travis Pastrana?
Okay? I was good at it. I was good at it at the time, yes. I was good at it. We used to have like a ditch that we used to it was about 30 feet deep, which was nothing back then, but it was big to us. And we used to ride it all the way down and do these flips, and it was very dangerous. But like I said, that's when kids were free, right? And I remember rushing home because the Knicks were going to play against the Houston Rockets in the finals. And because I'm a Georgetown fan, I was going for New York Knicks and Patrick Ewing. And I remember rushing home to go watch the game, and I throw my bike in the front yard and run inside, like most kids did back in the day. And when I go inside to watch the game, my mom, this is back when there was only one TV in the house. My mom was watching TV. I'm like, what are you doing? I got to watch the game. And she goes, no, OJ Simpson is getting chased in his Bronco.
He assured us and agreed to provide for the surrender, and that's not occurred.
On June 17, 1994, OJ Simpson became the most famous fugitive on the planet.
Everybody was on the alert looking for a wanted double homicide suspect who happened to be a Heisman Trophy winner.
White Bronco is spotted. At the wheel, OJ's best friend and former teammate, Al Cowlings.
Did you see him? Yeah, we believe so. And we looked at him, and he stared us down like he was dead. Hold on, I got a cop coming here right now. Okay, we'll put it out. Okay, bye.
And I'm like, what? And we already knew. We knew OJ Simpson. My dad would tell me the stories of how great of a football player he was. We loved his commercials. We loved him in Naked Gun and so on. I've seen Naked Gun a million times before the new one that came out. And we just stood there. We were watching, and it was cool because it was like a picture-in-picture. The big picture was of the Bronco chase, and then the other one on the very small was of the NBA basketball game because it was the actual finals. And I remember my dad comes inside from work. He's like, hey, you need to take your bike inside. It's going to get stolen. I'm like, Dad, OJ Simpson, oh my God. Anyways, it lasted forever. I go outside. My bike was gone. I never rode a bike ever since then.
Salty.
But anyway, the OJ Simpson trial was my number one. That's my little anecdote about it.
I brought it up last episode. I think the OJ Simpson, a little bit with the LA riots, with the Rodney King stuff. I think it was the creation of sensationalized media in the way that we have it now. Everything it's almost like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. It's like, how can we get the OJ Simpson 2.0? I think that's kind of what dictates news media now. You see it all the time. They take these smaller stories and they try to blow them up because the OJ trial and the whole Bronco thing had the attention of everybody. I like your pick.
I'll end with this one more anecdote. I remember as a freshman, I was skipping class and I was walking the halls alone. All of a sudden, the principal comes on the intercom. The verdict has been announced for OJ Simpson. Now, one little caveat about the OJ Simpson trial was how race was involved here. Okay?
Simpson, would you please stand and face the jury? Mrs. Robertson.
Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles, in the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA097211. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information.
Then the verdict. They burst out into tears.
It became very racial and very partial. Now, where I'm from, the border, very high Mexican population, Mexican-American population, a lot of minorities where I live. So we were naturally going for OJ Simpson, most of the people. And I remember the principal going on the intercom and saying, literally stopping class to do the announcement on OJ Simpson verdict. And he goes, OJ Simpson not guilty. I remember not only pumping my fist in the air because I was happy he was not guilty, but I remember hearing in the hallways from the classrooms, people cheering that OJ Simpson was innocent. Little did we know later on that, the more educated we got, we found out the truth. But yes. But we were hyped up. I mean, it was a thing. All right. So that's my number one. Give me your number one. Right. Talk to me.
Now, I went with something. I've said it in almost every other episode. In 1995, there was an event that flies under the radar always whenever you talk about the 1990s. But it's something that will forever change your life, my life, our kids' lives, even our kids nowadays. In 1995, the creation of the MP3.
Yes. Go ahead, talk to me, dude. Your list is unique. I love it.
I try every week, and it doesn't always work out.
Mine was the cliches, but I couldn't ignore it.
The MP3 is a music file that when you download a music or audio file, it's generally the most common form, and regardless of what you do with that audio file, is up to you. If I were to take the audio from this episode and just download the audio, it'd probably download as an MP3. But as a kid, we had stuff like LimeWire, and we had stuff like we'd burn our own CDs. I feel like because music is so important to our everyday lives, that being able to take your music with you wherever you go was a game changer. I remember when I got my first iPod, it was like, oh my God, I used to carry a CD player, not a Walkman, but it was a Sony CD player. And to put a mass amount of music onto one device like an iPod was game changing. Now we got Spotify and we've got things like that, but there's an evolution to this, and the MP3 file is, in my mind, one of the most underrated developments in technology.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you can go and say that there's a lot of big things that also happen, like the Napster thing, you and your Metallica stuff. But MP3 is 100% one of the things that I think that we take for granted, and it's so common nowadays that we forget. I started with the internet. That was my number 4 pick. And I finished with MP3. So very technology. I just think that music is too special to ignore. You brought up Biggie. went bigger than big.
No, I mean, that was a catalyst. I mean, I remember as a kid, bro, even in my high school years, like we would make a mixtape and we would patiently wait on the radio to play a song and pray to God that the stupid radio disc jockey wouldn't interrupt the song. And we would just be waiting. And it was always like a game of risk. And once the MP3 player came and they started implementing that technology and your stereos and everything like that, I mean, it's everything that we know today. We couldn't really even do this podcast without the birth of the MP3 as well. So your number one is awesome. So what is your honorable mention?
I'm going to say my honorable mention would probably be, if I had to go with just one, I would probably go Dream Team. I would go the Dream Team. Being as big of an athlete as I was, I do respect the amount of talent that was on that one team. I don't think we'll ever see that again. We won't ever.
Yeah, especially not so much talent, but I would say the marquee names, you know? For mine, it was two, both also sports related. I got Monica Lewinsky when she got hit by Tonya Harding. I remember watching that. And I would say when Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas, the 40-1 odds.
You are very,
knockout,
boxing oriented. So
yes, I am.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Yeah, that was a pretty big one too.
Yes, sir. Yeah. All right, my man. So go ahead, guys. Everybody watching, like, subscribe, comment. We will comment on your comments.
We will respond to your comments.
Correctly? Yes. So we have every new episode every Monday and Thursday. So make sure you subscribe. And until next time.
If we're not back in 5 minutes.
What was just wait longer.
I'm gonna show you how great I am. We're not worthy.
I said, empty your mind.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.